What's going on, guys? It's Tyler from the Keep Pounding podcast. And today we're going to be doing a recap on the Panthers and Green Bay game. I did not expect us to come away with the win. To be honest, all I really wanted was us to be competitive, and we were. And that was probably the most surprising and the biggest game of the season, and probably the biggest win in the Tepper era, to be honest with you. I can't remember the last time we won a big game like that away. And so hopefully this is a sign where we're turning a corner. Hopefully we can uh, now start to beat the teams we're supposed to beat. We have the Saints coming up. So hopefully the defense continues to play well. The offense continues to try to build and figure this out. We'll get into what happened during the game against the Packers. But our identity is a running game. And hopefully Bryce Young continue to develop and play well, play consistent. We'll get into that. But if this offense and Bryce Young can make another step, uh, this is a young team and we're winning some games that we're not supposed to be winning. And I'm excited about it. But I want to get into and recap what I thought of the Packers game. I didn't really create any slides. I just want to kind of just do a dialogue with you guys. I'm going to be moving and new house, new place, and so a lot of things going on. So I wanted to be able to make this video a couple days ago, but just haven't had a chance. So, um, but I first want to talk about the offensive line, and this group doesn't really get enough love. This group has been plagued with injuries this season, and they've played well as a group. The offensive line has played well all season, given the injuries. Against the Packers, the starting lineup was Ike Ekwonu, Damian Lewis, Austin Corbett, Chandler Savala, and Yash Nijman. And you obviously had K Mays that was out at center. Brady Christensen was out at right guard. He's out for the season. So moving forward, Dave Canales mentioned that Austin Corbett's going to be the starting right guard moving forward, and then Chandler Zavala is going to be the backup. Taylor Moton was out, so the center all the way to the right tackle, we're playing backups against a decent, solid defensive line. They have Micah Parsons, they have some good pieces there, and that we held up. We only allowed one sack that game. Micah Parsons had zero pressures. This was the first time in his career that he didn't have any pressures on the quarterback. He was double teamed about 28% of the time, which is the second most for Parsons all season. Icky, he was solid against Parsons. I believe 13 times he was 1v1 against Micah Parsons, no pressures, and the other time, 9 times on passing downs, he was playing blocking another defender and still didn't allow any pressure. So he's been solid, and obviously he's got the contract year coming up, and if he continues to play the way that he's playing right now, he's going to get a nice contract. And in my opinion, it'll probably be the first thing that we do in the offseason is to re-sign him. He's got his rookie contract coming up. We already picked up his 5th-year option, and he's proven that he is one of the top left tackles in the league. The way he's been playing this year and I think it does help because we're running the ball more, but passing downs as well, he's doing a phenomenal job. You have because of Chandler Zavala's injury during the Packers game, you had Jake Curran, number 74. He replaced Zavala at right guard. He did play a couple snaps at left guard when Lewis was out, but a lot of mixing around. But Jake did a phenomenal job, and he is someone that wasn't even on the initial 53. But then when you have Taylor or Robert Hunt that has been out for probably the rest of the year, you have Brady Christensen that's out. Then now you have Chandler Zavala. He's literally 4th-string, and this guy played really well. So I love the depth, and kudos to the offensive line and the offensive line coach doing a great job right now. The depth is we haven't seen in a long time. Is even though starting offensive line history has been not great since what was the guy's left tackle's name that we had that was solid? I have his picture in my head. I can't remember his name, but ever since we haven't really had a solid offensive line in a while, and this is the first time in a while. I mean, obviously last year was good too, but this is a while where we've had solid depth. solid depth, and they're contributing. You also had, because of the injuries, it made sense. Dave Canales did have Mitchell Evans in the game about 41% of the snaps, and most of the time that he was in, he was helping the offensive line block. So shout out to him as well. I think he's gonna be our future number one tight end. But the offensive line needs more credit as far as our run game and just Rico Dowd's success in general. The offensive line has done an amazing job for these running backs, and again, that's our identity. We are a run blocking. They're a solid run blocking offensive line, and we need to be a running team. Now, speaking of running backs, you have Rico Dottle. So this is the first game where he was pretty much declared RB1. He played 72% of the time. He rushed for 25 times for 130 yards. He averaged 5.2 yards per carry. He had his longest run was 29 yards, and he scored 2 touchdowns. He obviously caught out of the backfield, had a couple of receptions, so his total all scrimmage yards was 141. I believe we rushed for a total of 163 as a team. You had Chuba, who was RB2 this game. He played 22% of the time of the snaps. He had 5 rushing attempts for 17 yards, 3.4 yards per carry, and his longest run was 8. One of the key moments in the game was Chuba had a nice heads up play where Bryce Young was hit from behind, and it was a fumble. And again, heads up play by Chuba, grabbed the ball, ran for an additional 7 to 8 yards, which could have been crucial, crucial turnover for us. Chuba heads up play, made a great save and picked up the ball and got some yards. Um, all this trading Chuba talk, obviously, before the deadline was up, I really thought that wasn't going to go anywhere. I tell people, like, what's better than a running back that has 1,000 yards? Two of them. And yes, Rico has a high hand. Doesn't mean that Chuba all of a sudden fell off the face of the earth. It's going to take some time, in my opinion, and I think we'll start to see it throughout the season. Dave Canales being able to really balance well, uh, as far as giving sharing the load of the running game with Rico and Chuba. Now, I agree, Rico should be RB1 right now. The way he's playing right now is phenomenal. He's a top 5 easy running back in the league right now, the way he's playing. I think he has the most. I think he passed Jonathan Taylor. I'm not sure. I have to double check on that, but I'm pretty sure he passed Jonathan Taylor for total rushing yards. Um, but you got to go with a high hand, and he just looks different out there. He's very explosive, violent. He's really good. Coming off hits. He bounces off defenders well, and you have to continue to feed Rico the ball. Now, again, I don't think even this offseason, even if like Rico continues to be the RB1, you can't trade Chuba. You can't. I do think that we need to be able to figure out a way to re-sign Rico. And I get, like, people say like, oh, you don't want to overpay for running backs. Well, this is our identity. Right now, this is our identity. You can sign Rico for 2-3 years, averaging 7, 8, 9 million a year. I think, maybe have like 80% of the 70, 80% of that guaranteed. I think that's fair. Yes, you take in consideration his injuries that he's had, but overall he's been healthy so far this season. Um, but ultimately, again, I just think that Dave Canales needs to find a balance between both him, Rico, and Chuba. And I do think ideally you're having Rico pretty fresh going to the fourth quarter. Not that you don't play him until the fourth, but maybe having Rico the first quarter and then slowly fade out to the second, and then second half of the second quarter all the way to the third quarter you're playing Chuba, then back to Rico. And it's just being able to, as a head coach and a play caller, really understand when to put one player in, one and when to take one player out. And that can be tricky game to game. But I do think that's something that Dave Canales and this team need to figure out. And if we can, that's something you can take into that's a playoff winning formula team, running the ball, playing good defense. Now, speaking of run defense, the front seven specifically, they did another amazing job. A whole, Jordan Love and that offense, a group is they're no joke. They're a really good team. Now they yes they played kind of poorly, but also you have to give the Panthers credit. The Panthers defense is playing phenomenal. They only allowed 104 yards rushing total. They held Josh Jacobs to under 100 yards. He had 17 rushing attempts for 87 yards. He did average 5.12 yards per carry, and his longest run was 18 yards. But this defense, they only accounted for one sack. They had 6 QB pressures, 4 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, which we did recover, and 1 interception. Now going to the front, the defensive line, I thought Tershawn Wharton had a hell of a game. I think this is his best game of the season, and this is the most that they played him since his injury. They played him 91% of the snaps. He was the one that did get that one and only sack of the game, but he also had a tackle for loss, a couple QB hits, 7 tackles. This is somebody that when we signed him, this is what I was expecting. He he's a hell of a player, man. Having him, Ashawn Robinson, and Derek Brown there, and then that rotation with Bobby Brown, this defensive line, man, it's a really fun to watch. Travis Gibson, he's the one that we signed last Tuesday. He played in replace of Princely Yellen. He did play 28% of the snaps, but he did a great job setting the edge. Now he's not a pass rushing type of player as Princely is, but he did such a great job setting the edge. He did his work. He did his job. He did his assignment, and he did a lot better than DJ Johnson. But so shout out to Travis Gibson. I thought the inside linebackers, they're continuing to get better. You have Christian Roseboom, who had the best game of the season so far for himself. He had a forced fumble, which Nick Scott recovered, and now in the Green Bay Packers offense, they don't really turn over the ball. That was the 4th turnover that they had all game. They ended up having 5 with Tershawn or Morig's interception. But Roseboom was all over the field. He had 15 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. He had the highest PFF grade on defense with an 87.1. The first possession or the first series that the Green Bay Packers were out there, the first play of the game, they threw a screen to Josh Jacobs, and Roseboom had a missed tackle, and I'm like, oh, here we go. But after that, he played well. So kudos to Christian Roseboom. Trevin Wallace had another great game. He had 9 tackles, 1 QB hit, 1 pass deflected. He had the 5th highest PFF grade on the defense with the 64.6. He did allow a nice reception by Musgraves, the tight end that came in for the I forget the guy's name, the tight end that got injured and tore his ACL. But overall, the inside linebackers are doing well. Ever since they switched the green dot to Trevin Wallace and Christian Roseboom's playing more freely, this has been they've been getting more and more impressive. Now, I still think inside linebacker is something you have to take a look at. Even if these players continue to improve and get better, that's still something at the end of the offseason we need some depth there, and maybe provide a little bit of competition. But this is great to see. Something that was a very weak link, and I still in some parts there is, especially in coverage with Christian Roseboom and even Trevin Wallace at times, which he's doing amazing, and he's being utilized so well by Evero blitzes up the middle. The last couple games, he's had some nice QB pressures. But this is a group that they're getting better each game, and this was their best game so far. The secondary overall, they did really well. They gave up a couple explosive plays. Nick Scott primarily was the one that gave up the 2 explosive plays. I think there was 1 50-yard reception that he gave up, and there was another 30-yard reception that he gave up, but that was the one where the defense was kind of off guard. So I can't really knock him too much for that one, but on that play, he did miss a tackle. So Nick Scott, I still think is a weak link. He had several missed tackles that game. That's why when there was rumors about Minkah Fitzpatrick before the trade deadline that the Panthers were interested, I was pretty intrigued with that, because I think if you have Minkah out there with Trayvon Moehrig, I think that is a huge upgrade. So Nick Scott, serviceable, but I think we can get better. But he was the one that gave up the explosive plays. And again, this secondary in this defense as a whole is a bend don't break mentality. So the Packers on offense, they called a lot of screens, which they call screens to get their playmakers the ball in space, and then as they're if that's effective, that helps open up the field because they have to step up because of the screens, and that allows the play action and these explosive plays down the field. But overall, that defense, they did a great job, defending the screens, being able to tackle uh, the receivers in open space. Not there wasn't a ton of missed tackles. There were definitely a few, but there wasn't a ton of them. Um, so the game plan was just let them have those little 7, 8 chunk yards and then make them go down the length of the field. And that's what they did because I believe 5 out of the 6 possessions that Jordan Love had, they had him in scoring position, but our defense just did a great job where we either came away with a turnover or turnover on downs or a missed field goal. There's definitely things that I thought the Packers uh, did poorly as far as play calling and just that 4th and 8 where they went for it on 4th and 8 in the red zone, and it was I believe at the time it was 13-6 with I believe 11 or 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they go for it on 4th and 8. And I'm like, this is a very low scoring game. Why are you not going for the field goal? So that was one thing I thought that Matt LaFleur did a poor job as far as decision making. I believe he even mentioned that it was a bad mistake. Trayvon Moehrig, I thought he had the best game of the season as well. He had that interception, which I don't know what Jordan Love was thinking, throwing it in like triple coverage with the wind. So, and he returned it for 36 yards. He had 5 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. One of them was in the red zone on 3rd and 3, which was a big play. He had a couple passes deflected. One of them was a 50-yard bomb to Matthew Golden, which would have been caught, but Moehrig was in a great position to deflect the pass. He had the second highest PFF grade on the defense with 78.1. He also missed a tackle, which was the same one that Christian Roseman missed on that first play, but on of the game, first possession of the game. But overall, hell of a game. I believe he was NFC Defensive Player of the Week. So it seems like every week we're getting Defensive Player of the Week. This is great. So secondary did really well. Special teams did really well. Obviously, you have Ryan Fitzgerald that made the 49-yard field goal game winning kick. I think we found our long term kicker, man. He's someone that I think is getting more and more confident. Hopefully, he can maintains and being consistent. But this is somebody that I'm excited about. I was honestly going into this season, I was quite nervous about can we win close games or are we going to lose close games because of the kicker? And he's proven that I was wrong, or like he's taken away my doubts that I had early in the season, before the season started. So I'm really excited to see that Ryan is doing a great job. Shout out to the special teams coach who advised Dave Canales on to take the direction of the win. So that way, when they got into the fourth quarter, if it was a close game, they would have the wind at their backs and that they would be able to go for the field goal if needed. Great call, because that's exactly what ended up happening. Now, going over all those position groups and players, let's talk about Bryce Young. Okay, I think, and I saw the article on Cat Scratch Reader. Don't really agree with what a lot of the stuff they put out. I can understand some of the things that they're saying, but as far as Bryce Young and people talk about, he's the future or no, he's not, or that's a conversation that I'm not ready to have until the end of the season, until the end of this season, because there's a lot more football to be played. There's a lot of things that can change from now to then. Is Bryce Young 100% like franchise quarterback right now? No, he still has a lot to prove, but he's also not the future either. Like he's somebody that needs to be more consistent, but there's still more football to be played. And so I'm gonna go into how Bryce Young did this game and give my thoughts on it. But this is, you know, This is it's too early. We're in the middle of the season. We're winning games, right? All I care about is wins. Sure, would I like some players to play better? Sure, but all I care about is wins. And if Bryce Young is helping us win football games, great. He doesn't have to be Mahomes. He doesn't have to be, an elite quarterback. I hope he can be, but quarterbacks can be successful and not be elite. It's all about having a good all-rounded team. Now, going into the game, I thought Bryce Young was okay. He was 11 of 20, 102 yards, 55% completion percentage. He had that interception, no touchdowns. But you can't really look at this and look at like you can't look at the box score and judge Bryce Young. Like, yeah, yes, that's a component of it. Like, not that you can't judge him, but I don't think like you can't look at that and judge him solely on the numbers because he does a lot more for this team that doesn't really get shown in the box score in the stat sheet. I do think like he's doing a lot better. He has really good movement within the pocket. I think he's stepping up in the pocket better. He had a couple of clutch runs this game, one of them being on 4th and 1 late in the first, where he got the first down. They ended up getting points off that. That was the play where he got pushed out of bounds where there wasn't a flag. Yes, I understand that he wasn't fully out of bounds when he got pushed, but if that was a top tier quarterback, that would have been a flag. But Bryce Young proves during clutch moments, he's successful. He had at the end of the game, he had a 9-play, 40-yard drive where he had his ninth career game-winning drive. Like these game-winning drives, they can't be ignored. This is something where, and for me, whenever I don't have an agenda, right? Like some people, they're pro Bryce Young no matter what he does. They'll always people you Bryce Young lovers, people that are diehard that there's nothing that he can do to change your mind. And then the opposite of the coin too, where no matter how well Bryce Young does, people always find an excuse why he can't be a franchise quarterback. Like, let's get away from the agenda. Let's look at things objectively, which is what I want to do. When you have a quarterback, when it's clutch time, you have a quarterback that is making plays. Would you like the quarterback him to play like this throughout the game? Yes, we all would. But what I care about is clutch moments. When the game is on the line, are you able to step up and win the game? And he is. This is the ninth career game-winning drive. Since 2023, he's tied for the most in that span with Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and Geno Smith. But again, like I said, like you can't look at the box score and judge Bryce Young based on that. And like I said, he does things that you can't find in the stat sheet. Like he had where he faked the defense. He told Rico Dotto that there's going to be a pass protection, and the defense looked and said, "This is going to be a pass." And Bryce Young set that up where Rico Dotto had a 19-yard run that put them in field goal range. So those things you can't ignore. Doing things at the line, setting players up to be successful. There was some bad in this game. He had the interception in the red zone where McKinney picked him off. He was targeting XL. People say was win a factor? Sure. But I think it was more of a bad throw than anything else. And if you think win's a factor, then that's also a bad play call because and he looked at XL the whole way. If you look at the play, he looked at him the whole way. If he looked at Jalen Coker underneath and then looked at XL, I think that would have been a better execution of the play call, in my opinion. But with him looking at XL the whole way, he had Jalen Coker underneath that probably would have been a touchdown if he targeted him. But because he got that interception, they came away with no points, right? Obviously, you can't have these mistakes, and this is where I understand where people say like, "Is he a franchise quarterback or not?" You can't have these type of mistakes consistently. Where is this year 3, right? Right, yeah, we're in year 3 of Bryce Young, I believe. It was, yeah. Like, you can't have these mistakes consistently. He had in the Arizona game. I can't remember the other games, but I think the Dolphins game, he had a couple of turnovers that they were able to overcome. But you can't be a reason why, on a consistent basis, why your team is falling behind in a game because of mental mistakes like this. That was even Greg Olson when he saw that play, he's like, I have no idea what Bryce Young was thinking. And that's what's frustrating for me, and I'm sure some other fans too, is you have plays where you look phenomenal, and other games there's games and there's times where I see Bryce Young, he looks phenomenal, and other times I'm like, he looks like he doesn't belong on the football field. That's what's frustrating with me is he needs to have consistency. Now, I don't the people that say he's definitely not a franchise quarterback and he is holding his team back, you're wrong. Sure, like would it be great to have Josh Allen or Mahomes or one of those players, Lamar Jackson? Sure, but there's not that many of those players. If you watch other teams, their quarterbacks make a decent amount of mistakes too. It's hard to find a really good quarterback. He's young. You need to give this guy time. And again, like, let's not judge Bryce Young if he's a franchise quarterback or not middle of a season. We're winning football games, guys. Could Bryce Young play better and get it? And maybe we would have another win or so. But also, he's had some clutch moments that have allowed us to win games. So we need to pump the brakes on that conversation and let's wait till the end of the season. Do I think unless Bryce Young just like lights it up, do I think that he's going to sign a new deal next offseason? No, but I'm not ready to shut the door on him. Now, have I been upset about it? Because I'll admit, I can be emotional, right? I can be emotional. And there's been moments where I've watched the games and I'm like, dude, I don't know if he's it. And I'm being honest. There's times where I'm like, I don't know if he's it. And other times I'm like, yeah, he's it. So it's just you need to. It's okay to, as a fan. I don't, it's you're gonna make mistakes. Like realistically, everybody's gonna make mistakes. But how often are you making them? And at what moments of the football game are you doing them in crucial moments? And so far, he's not really doing them in crucial moments. He's doing it early in the game, and then when it matters, then he really makes the plays. So, excuse me. But now going into the Saints game, I do expect the offense to play better. They got, and I expect the defense to be phenomenal. They got rid of Rashid Shaheed. They got rid of Trevor Penning. I think another player. I don't remember. Well, I'll do it. I'm gonna, hopefully I intend to make another video going over a preview of the Saints and the Panthers game coming up this Sunday. But I do expect Bryce Young to be better, and I want them to go out and make a statement win. And this is a game we should win. Like, that's crazy to say. We're going to be 6-4. We should be 6-4 after this Sunday, and we're getting hot at the right time of the season. And now this late bye that I was kind of afraid of is might actually work out in our favor because right after the bye, I think we have it's like Seattle, Bucks, somebody in Bucks, something like that. It's we have 4 games after the bye, but I know the last game of the season is versus the Bucks. Maybe I forget. It's another team. Bucks, Seahawks, Bucks. That's what I believe it is. So we control our destiny. And again, like even if w- this the team is doing what I said that I feel like we should be at this part of the season, competing for a wild card spot. I didn't expect us to win the division. Now, can we? Absolutely, we can. Right, and I hope we do. But we need to have tempered, realistic expectations. We still have pieces that we're missing. I think we need another receiver. I think we need to upgrade a corner over Mike Jackson. I think we need to upgrade over Nick Scott. We need an interior linebacker. We need an edge rusher. We need Bryce Young to get better. And I still think Dave Canales is learning, continue to learn to be a better head coach and a better play caller. But we're trending in the right direction, and it's exciting as a Panther fan. Like, if you would have told me that we would have beat the Packers in Green Bay and we'd be 5-4, it's exciting. So, um, but if you guys haven't already, I'm a growing Panther podcaster. Hit the like button. It really helps me out. Leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. And leave a comment. Tell me what your thoughts were about the Packers game and also your thoughts about the upcoming Saints game. And hope to, again, drop a video uh, hopefully mm, hopefully Saturday morning to go to give you a preview about the Saints and Panthers game. Hopefully, but if not, moving forward, I definitely will. Just a lot of stuff going on personally, so that's why this video has been a little late coming out. So, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it, and hope you guys have a good one. Peace. Keep pounding.